Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions. Lots to talk about. We'll start with the injuries. Robert Hunt, who was desperately missed against the Kansas City Chiefs. He added so much to the... It seems like every time we play a good team, a major part of the offense is injured, or the defense. And it sucks we didn't have him in this game, even though we kind of got the run game going at the end. I just feel like having Connor, Robert, and Armstead in the lineup, that's where the offense can really, be as dominant as that we've seen them be. And it doesn't really matter, if it's a Kansas City or even a Philadelphia. I feel like those guys are obviously really, really important to the run game and can run on a lot of different defenses. So it hurt that he wasn't in this game. Obviously, Robert Hunt's dealing with a hamstring injury, but we do have an update. This comes from Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. Robert Hunt hamstring was walking around well. Everyone hopeful of a return after the bye. He also comments on Hard Knocks, if you guys are interested in that. That will, I guess, start filming during the bye week, like heavily. I don't really care for any of that. It does suck that whole, not to go off on a tangent, but the whole Hard Knocks situation. I don't know whose idea that was, but it'll be cool to see this team and the behind the scenes of this team, though. Specifically this team. I don't think it'll be too much of a distraction. Hopefully it won't be to the team. So yeah, Robert Hunt should return, as Barry Jackson has stated, after the bye. And if we get him back, obviously Isaiah Wynn won't be back for a long time. I don't know who's gonna fill that spot. Whether it's gonna be Eichenberg. Obviously Robert Jones is dealing with an injury. Or even moving Connor to guard. It'd be interesting if they consider that. But if we can get those three healthy and on the offensive line in big games, obviously playoffs, big games, having those guys healthy makes a big difference. And hopefully we can get them back. And honestly, one thing that I wish they'd try, and I know Kendall Lamb is such a big piece to the team, because if Armstead does miss another game, he is a big deal to the team, obviously. It'd be nice to try him at guard, especially when it comes to pass protecting. It'd be something to consider if I was the Dolphins. I don't know. Just to try that position. We have another injury update, Devon Achane. Things are looking up. It looks like the Dolphins will get him back for the Raiders game after the bye. Mike McDaniels was pretty positive. He said, quote, and this comes from Cameron Wolf, he says, "We'll utilize this bye week to make sure he's fully healthy." Was having one of the best seasons of running back he's ever had as a rookie. We have like 7 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Ahmed and Jeff Wilson, there's a considerable drop-off in physical ability. It was such a noticeable drop-off. From him to them, and some of the things that we can do in the offense, we ran a similar play, kind of that shovel screen play against the Chiefs. It was a great call, obviously very game plan, something they saw in film that they could take advantage of. And if that was A-Chain, that was probably like a 50-yard gain, but I can't remember exactly what happened on the play, but Ahmed kind of got arm tackled. And that should have been a big play. And it's plays like that, and not to mention the perimeter run game, suffers terribly from the absence of Devon Achane. And obviously the offensive line as well. But, if he can come back, he's an explosive superstar level player. And anytime you get someone like that back, it's going to help the run game. It's going to help the pass game. And he's a lot better than I ever thought he'd be, especially his rookie season. I had a lot of concerns about him and some of the stuff after the catch, which we really didn't get to see him use right in college. And I think that was kind of a big reason. It's like, we didn't really get to see him in certain situations a lot. And he's completely blown my expectations out of the water. So getting him back is going to be great. And another great draft pick from Chris Greer. The Dolphins should be also getting another injury news. Craycraft, who's another player that I think is underrated for this Dolphins football team. I can't even remember when he got hurt, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to remember. Obviously, he's been out for a while, but it does seem like he's going to be coming back soon. And honestly, when you think about phenomenal run blocker, great route runner, really good slot player, so it's going to be nice to have him back. I wish Chase Claypool, and hopefully this bye week, he can get better at that role, that Trent Sherfield, Craycraft role, because those guys, they're great intermediate players that don't get enough credit on this team of moving the chains on third down. And Craycraft was, kind of a sneaky good. He's really, really good at that and really good at that position. So getting him back would be huge after the bye too. Kind of really shaping the offense up to getting into more healthy. It sucks Isaiah Wynn got injured. But I hope during the bye week they can kind of figure out who's going to play that position. But it'll be nice to get Craycraft back as well. He can add a lot of chain mover and a really, really, really good run blocker. And he's been a good red zone player as well. So the Dolphins are really getting healthy at the right time in November and December, which is a good thing. I think that's it for the news. We really covered everything. We could get into. I really am gonna loathe talking about this game. This game was heartbreaking. Even looking at the final stat line, Kansas City was terrible on offense pretty much the entire game. And look, the fact that we didn't win this game and Patrick Mahomes had 185 yards passing is crazy. Like, it breaks my heart. Even Pacheco, he had 66 yards rushing on 16 carries. The Chiefs' offense was non-existent. I think their leading receiver had 34 yards, which was Noah Gray. Defensively in the first half, there were a couple hiccups, obviously. They catch us in a blitz, which is the same thing the Eagles did. And you could see some teams were kind of game planning for that blitz on screens, which is what they did, just like the Eagles did. And that was a touchdown. That was just a really good play call by the Chiefs. And then the other one was kind of a busted coverage. I haven't really looked at that play too often to know really what happened on that play. But Jerome Baker blew a coverage and McKinnon just walks into the end zone. But after that, the defense, again, and we've talked about it, this front seven is really good. And the linebackers do play better every week. It's a really phenomenal pass rush. And we saw what we thought we would have with the two corners out there. And it was dominant. I mean, not that the Chiefs have great receivers. They have a solid core. It's not bad. But they dominated. I mean, the X dominated. Jalen Ramsey's been phenomenal ever since he got here. Moving Kader Kohu back into the slot not only has helped the run defense, but he's been a really nice chess piece in coverage. So the whole defense just got so much better with them getting healthier. And again, before Jalen Ramsey got back, this was still a front seven that is top 5 in hits and sacks while rushing 4. And that really helped out in the second half, getting pressure on Patrick pretty much on every critical down. I mean, you can think of that 3rd and 1 play action play. That was great. We did a good job for the most part containing him. He had a couple of nice, good scrambles, but again, the front seven has done a phenomenal job, and the secondary is really playing good football because it's one of the better ones in the NFL. And Deshaun Elliott has been a really nice surprise for the Dolphins. Like, he's played really good football. And Vic Fangio, who he's been phenomenal. Like, this game plan was one of the best from a Dolphins defensive coordinator in a very long time. I mean, Travis Kelce finished with, and this is what makes this game so hard. He finished with 3 receptions for 14 yards. The Dolphins did a phenomenal job against the Kansas City Chiefs. And to not take advantage of that is really hard. It's a hard pill to swallow because I feel like the team really outplayed them for most of the game. I think the Chiefs probably, you could make an argument the first quarter. But after that, I feel like we were the better team and made better plays, especially on defensive side of the football, to win the game. And offensively, we're just too good and too talented to not capitalize on that. And that's what makes this game so tough. I mean, you think about what the ailments of the team were on the offensive side of the ball. The run game was just non-existent until the end of the game. And the Dolphins finally it was weird. Because Raheem Mostert really, if you watch the game, didn't get a lot of carries until the end of the game. I don't know why that was. It was a lot of Ahmed, and who had 3 carries, and Jeff Wilson, who had 2 carries. Now, that sounds kind of low from what I'm saying, but in terms of touches and being on the field, it felt like Mostert really didn't get a lot of that until the end of the game. And they really started kind of finding their rhythm in the run game, but they just really couldn't do that early on in the game. Shout out to the Chiefs defense, which was really good. It's not like this offense is just falling apart. But the thing that was so upsetting is Tyreek Hill in the receivers. First of all, Tyreek Hill had his worst game in a Dolphins uniform with the fumble, and he dropped. He's always, listen, God bless him, I love him, one of my favorite Dolphins of all time. But he always has a drop. I don't know what, like maybe every 2 games he always kind of has a drop. But he's Tyreek Hill. Who the heck cares? I mean, he's made so many plays for this team and franchise that it really doesn't. I mean, who cares? I mean, he had a bad game. Jalen Waddle, who's been dealing with injuries, was in and out of the game, which probably, I would imagine, affected the game plan, which hurt the team a little bit in the first half. And they really couldn't find. Tyreek Hill was off. Jalen Waddle was in and out of the lineup. Okay, who else is going to make a play? And thank God A-Chain is on the team. But Mostert really didn't do that because of the injuries to the offensive line. And then in the receiving core, it's like, okay, one of you guys have to, it can't just be all them all the time. And that really hurt the team. It's like, who's that third guy? And especially with Hill garnering a lot of attention in this game, Waddle in and out of the lineup, really needed a big game from someone. And honestly, Cedric Wilson has looked good, probably his best he's ever looked this year. A lot of missed opportunities for him, obviously. But, it's weird. I would love to know how many snaps Raheem Mostert had in the first half, because he needed more. Because Jeff Wilson and Ahmed, again, just not, they're not good. They're not good enough, honestly. Jeff Wilson he's looked ever since, like, after the Cleveland game. I don't know. He just hasn't looked good to me. And Ahmed, sometimes the lack of speed, he's got great acceleration, but his speed and his 0 to 60 startup speed is not very good. He's just not as good as the other backs on the team. But that third guy, really, and honestly, this was definitely a Waddle game, and he just, again, with the injuries and out of the lineup, kind of killed that. So then in the second half, the run game started going a little bit, and we really got too many 3rd and longs in this game. You can't do that against any good team, and especially a good defensive coordinator. And we had a lot of issues picking up their blitzes, and which has been a theme for this franchise for the last, how many ever years. But the Spagnola, it's going to happen. But the heartbreaking part is, and we'll get to Tua right here, and with all the struggles in the first half, this game was really like a lot of missed opportunities. I mean, you're driving at the end of the half, you get ball at half, really good looking drive. They've been playing press man coverage the entire game. I don't know if this screen was an RPO. I imagine it wasn't because of the time that was left on the clock. Why you would run a screen in that situation? It was more of like it was not only a screen but a bubble screen. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, when they've been playing press man a lot in this game, and the two other missed opportunities in this game were obviously the Cedric. I don't even want to think about it. The Cedric Wilson. I don't know what. I mean, Tua. Apparently, it was the wrong route. If that's true, whatever. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The throw either way, even if you ran a corner out, was bad. So that sucked. And then the end of the game, why are centers snapping the ball at 1,000 miles an hour? I don't know. Whatever. So it's like stuff like that. It's like it hurt. Like it's like, God dang, man, can that not happen at the end of this game? For the love of God. And Tua has been great all year and has never in his career missed a throw like that. I've never seen Tua miss a throw like that. Even rookie Tua, I've never seen him miss a throw like that ever. So it's just hard. It's like, man, even like I said, even Reek was off in this game for whatever reason. At the end of the day, this game was close. I thought honestly, he was super encouraged after the game. When I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, what is the fatal flaw of the team? What is, like, every year you get to... Last year it was, I would say, lack of run game and the lack of a third option on the offense. And defensively, Josh Boyer was in shambles. We could clearly see, okay, those are the deficiencies of the team. And in this year, the deficiency of this team really has been injuries. And I don't really know what else you could kind of point to. I think you could probably point to consistency in pass protection hasn't been great. But if you watch the Chiefs game, not counting the Eagles game, if you watch the Chiefs game, the Bills game is another great example of this. We got to be better at blitz pickups, and we got to be better on executing plays on the road. That's been an issue. I think those have been the biggest, like, consistently bad things about this team. Is like, okay, I get we're on the road, it's loud, but if we can't communicate right and there's a guy coming in free on a blitz, like, that can't happen. And the center stuff has been, for the most part, I think all of it, honestly, all the bad center stuff has been on the road with the bad snaps as well, for the most part. I mean, there were a few at home. But yeah, I think that's probably the issue. But it's not even... I think that's very fixable. There's not a talent deficiency on this team. I think the defense is really starting to get in shape. It's looked great the last 2 weeks. Like, very, very good. Which is good. And the offense just has to play better on the road. And execute better on the road than they have been. It's been a lot of shoot yourself in the foot, dumb, stupid stuff, honestly. Whether it's holding penalties or, fumbling a snap or missing a wide open touchdown, whatever it is, like, or fumbling a ball on a screen, dropping a corner out on that would have been a big play in the game. It's just stuff like that. The good news is there's not a fatal flaw in this team. It's still a really good football team, and they just got to fix that stuff. And honestly, I'm glad that we've played the Eagles and Chiefs early in the year. I mean, these are two teams on the road that were in the Super Bowl. People act like we just lost to, like, whoever. It's like not a lot of the teams. You think about some of the guys that are chasing the wild card. None of them have done anything, or beaten anybody like that. Jacksonville probably has the best win against Kansas City, I guess. Or not against Kansas City, against Buffalo. But even they lost against Kansas City, and Buffalo is a shell of themselves. Like the Buffalo team that we played on the road, that's not the same Buffalo team that the Jaguars played in London. Not even close. So, like some of their criticism of this team is kind of crazy. But I'm really happy with where the team is. I like the way that they played. It sucks that we didn't capitalize on the plays that were there to be had, because that game easily should have went to overtime. They really only scored 14 points. We handed them 7, and it sucks. Like all of that stuff was our just stuff that is easily correctable, and it sucks it happened in one of the bigger games of the year. But like I said, I'm glad that they've played these teams because it gets them ready for the playoff push at the end. And I'm still really confident in this team. The thing that I want this season more than anything is a home playoff game. That's all I want. That's really all I want. And obviously if that could come back with the division, if we win the division, I'm gonna be like emotional. So that's really what I want this year, and I still think that's very achievable. And I'm not concerned at all with the team. Like I said, it's hard to kind of come up with like a big issue with this team. One of the big things I will say, hopefully Jalen Waddle gets healthy during the bye week. I mean, that's obviously a big deal, and hopefully Claypool can kind of get more used to the scheme, and getting A-Chain back is going to be a massive deal. Same thing with Robert Hunt, and I'm looking forward to watching this team for the rest of the year. It's the best Dolphins team we've had in years. And so, yeah, I'm not concerned at all. It just sucks that we lost that game. It's like, God, we could have easily won it, and we just didn't. We played bad football on the offensive side of the ball, and we can play way better than that. And that's what sucks. It's like, this is one of the biggest games of the year. We got to play better than that. And we didn't. We didn't play our best football for a lot of the reasons that we discussed. So, that's it. At least the defense is better than it was last year. It's way better than it was last year. It's really fun to watch. Bradley Chubb is starting to really show why we traded a first-round pick for him. He's been really good. He's been phenomenal this year. He's been way better this year. Jalen Phillips looks great. So the defense is really fun to watch. And it's nice to have the corners back because, I mean, even in this play, or there are many plays in that game, Vic was able to leave some of them, mostly, X one-on-one sometimes, and it really helped out the defense, getting those guys back. So at least the defense is trending in the right direction. I don't think we've seen the best version of this team yet, which is a good thing. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.